Empezamos en 3, 2. Bienvenidos al episodio número 33 de Sports Minors, un episodio muy especial. El día de hoy, desafortunadamente, nuestro compañero Miguel no puede acompañarnos, pero estamos de manteles largos porque nos acompaña un gran amigo, un tipazo, un erudito del deporte, del básquetbol a nivel profesional, un muy querido amigo, Isaiah Torres, desde Eagle Pass, Texas. Sí, sí está bien, ¿verdad? ¿No? No, nos vamos a meter en problemas. ¿De qué parte de Texas?
Brownsville.
Bueno, es más fácil pronunciar Eagle Pass, Texas. No te apures. Él nos acompaña. Él es actualmente el Head Video Coordinator de los RGV Vipers. Ha tenido gran experiencia y una gran trayectoria en el baloncesto. Como todos pasamos, él también lo jugó. Estudió Sports Management en la universidad. Se gradúa y ha tenido una gran trayectoria en el baloncesto. Ha formado parte del staff de USA Basketball. Fue Graduate Assistant en UT Permian Basin. Y, como ya lo mencioné, el Head Video Coordinator de RGV Vipers, que juegan en G League. Y el más reciente, por el que tuve la dicha de conocerlo, como coordinador ofensivo de Ángeles de Ciudad de México en CIBACOPA. Mi querido amigo Isaiah, muchísimas gracias por acompañarnos. ¿Cómo estás el día de hoy? ¿Nervioso?
Sí, poquito, pero sí, excited for this experience to get to talk. I know we talked about it a little bit before the season ended, so I'm glad that we're able to do it and finally get to it. So, but thank you for having me on here. First of all, thank you. I appreciate it.
No, gracias a ti, a la audiencia. Van a estar escuchando el mejor Spanglish que van a escuchar en internet últimamente. Voy a estar haciendo preguntas o parte de la plática en español. Isaías trae un muy buen español, pero para hacer tecnicismos y todo, pues vamos a tratar de mantenerlo ahí un poco en inglés también. Podrán estar viendo los subtítulos aquí abajo del video, mi queridísimo Luis, haciendo una gran chamba en temas de edición, o YouTube, o inteligencia artificial, ya sabremos después. Pero vamos arrancando, mi queridísimo Isaiah. Tú vives ahora sí, ¿me repites? Brownsville, Texas.
Brownsville, Texas, yes, sir.
Ok, súper bien. ¿Cómo fue? Tú sí jugaste básquet de chico, ¿verdad? ¿Correcto?
Yeah, so I played basketball growing up. My dad was actually he's a high school basketball coach, still is. So since I was little, I've always been around basketball, been around him and all his practices and all his teams. So that's kind of, where I started. So basketball was kind of, something that's always just been, a part of my life. But because of that, yes, growing up, basketball played all the way until high school.
Súper. Y ahora me voy a adelantar bastante tiempo con este contexto. Tú estudias en la universidad, estudiaste Sports Management, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Ya desde ahí sabías que querías estar en la industria deportiva, específicamente básquet, o estabas abierto a lo que se dejara, o dijiste me voy a morir en la línea por el baloncesto.
So actually when I went into college, I kind of switched my mind, a couple of times. When I went in, I first did like athletic training. I wanted to do either that or like a physical therapist sort of thing. And so I kind of started with that when I went into college. And then my first couple of years, I really missed being around basketball. Like I said, I grew up around it my whole life. And, those first couple of years, I got, opportunity to go do some rotations, to learn under some people, physical therapy realm, medical, all that kind of stuff. But I kind of realized, like basketball is just kind of, what I wanted to do. And so I started out actually helping with the intramural program there at Texas. That's how I kind of got my start in the, staying with basketball. I was an intramural official. Then I helped eventually, help lead the intramural basketball program with the university, with obviously with some, other people's help, some higher ups help. And so that's how I kind of stayed around. But even then, I missed being around the game. And then it's funny too, because even when I was doing my athletic training, they had you do different rotations at the sports and stuff like that. And every time that I was at a sport, specifically when I got to go do the men's basketball rotation, I found myself just looking at the coaches. I wasn't even really paying attention to the athletic training stuff. And, I was kind of just really into the practices and all that. And that's kind of when I realized, maybe coaching is something that I really want to do. Like I said, it's something I've always been around. I was really comfortable in that gym setting. And I think that's just kind of something that helped me push me towards coaching. But again, like I never knew that it would be what it has become now. Like growing up, like being around my dad, like high school basketball was always that was my NBA. That's what I was excited to be around those people. Those people were celebrities to me in my hometown and stuff like that. And so that's kind of always what I wanted to do, was just kind of come back and coach in high school. And then obviously it's progressed to this. And like I said, I never even thought that this would be an opportunity or something that I could even get to. And so I've been really fortunate to even get here so far.
Que para allá va mi pregunta, y va mi siguiente pregunta. En México está no muy lejano, cada vez está más cerca o más accesible para la gente que estudia o los que salen a trabajar. El tema de trabajar en el deporte o dedicarte al deporte cada vez está más cerca. Para ti, creciendo tengo entendido, es chico la parte de Texas donde estás, ¿correcto? No, o sea, no es un Dallas, no es un Fort Worth, no es algo que esté enorme. Entonces, para ti, ¿qué tan lejana estaba la oportunidad de trabajar en el deporte? Digo, me mencionas que tu papá fue coach, entonces supongo que prácticamente tu acceso inmediato era a nivel de preparatoria en high school. Pero partiendo de qué tan lejano estaba el poder dedicarte al deporte y cuál era como tu meta, como, ok, este es mi bottom line y cuál es tu main o final goal, like, donde dices, aquí ya lo logré.
So I think my bottom line, I mean, I think it was always just, coming back home and being able to just coach at one of the high schools here, being a head coach at either the high school I went to or one of the, the high schools in the area. That was kind of always just, like I said, something I would have been really happy just doing. But just kind of like, as I had that, dream or that kind of goal, each step I've gotten to, I've been fortunate enough to be around some really good people that have helped me, progress and have given me confidence to, keep moving forward. And like my parents and my family have obviously been huge in that, like just might as well see how far you can get sort of thing. Like just keep progressing, keep growing. And then again, like you don't get to those places without people that help you get there. So like even when it was, time to become like a manager at the University of Texas, I was fortunate enough to know some players that were on the team. And then as well, I had some guys who were already working for the basketball team as managers in some of my classes. So, the more I got to, get to know those guys, sort of be around them, they kind of, helped me get a foot in that door for that interview, and then while I was there working for the team, that's kind of when I was like, what, this is awesome. Like being around high level basketball talent like that, like the atmosphere, getting to just do basketball, all day as a job, seeing what those coaches do from the preparation to the recruiting and all that stuff. I loved it. I immediately fell in love with everything that came with it. And so from there too, it was kind of just like, all right, I'm here. Like, what's the next step I can take? And then what's the next step I could take? And then what? And so every time I've gotten, when I was a manager, obviously the graduate assistant role, from a graduate assistant role to the video role, it's always been like, once I'm there, like, okay, I'm happy I'm here. But now what do people in my position, where do they go to next? Like, what can I sort of advance? And then even from that video role, like video's been great. It's given me a lot of opportunity, but obviously coaching is my dream goal. Like you asked when will I know that I made it? And I honestly don't know if I'll ever think that I made it. Maybe like obviously the ultimate goal for me is just to become a head coach one day on a professional team. And then even then it could be somewhere and I would be like, I still need to do more. I still need to do more.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I really don't know. I really couldn't tell you what, that end goal is, but I know it is my goal to be a head coach one day, hopefully on a professional stage and a professional team and organization and stuff like that. But that so I guess that would be my main goal. And then like bottom line, like you said, I just love being around basketball. Like every time in the off season, I come back home and I train the high school kids here, and I love being around them too. Like they inspire me to keep going also. And so no matter where I end up, I know I'll be happy just as long as I'm around the game. But I like to answer your question again, I guess head coach on a professional team in a professional organization with good league and just good people around me and a great staff and players and guys who want to win. That's kind of, my ultimate goal.
Yeah, but I can tell that at the end, there's no like final goal, because let's say you take like a head coach job overseas, but then the challenge continues. Like, okay, can I make it to the NBA, or can I be the head coach in the G League? Or there will always be like the question, like, okay, what's
exactly
the national team, or can I do?
Yeah.
So exactly. I totally get it, and
yeah,
for now, the path to the Vipers, to the RGV Vipers, because even though, what happens, like for some people in the US, they can't see how aspirational it could be, like being on the G League, like you said, being on high level basketball is like huge for not just in the US or Mexico, like even in the US, like getting access to the G League is like a huge deal. So how that, like your path to the G League, to the Vipers, how does that, how can you describe it?
Yeah, no, it was a tough one, and it was interesting, right? To try to get there. Like you said, it's hard to get access into these teams and these organizations, and you don't realize how, cutthroat, or how, how many people want the position you're in until you kind of, take a step back and kind of look at it from an outsider's perspective. And you're like, I've been really fortunate. And for me, like I said, I've been fortunate to know some really good people. And so I kind of already knew some people within the organization who had been with the Vipers previously, and, kind of kept in touch with them, and through them, and again, through networking. I'd say networking has been a huge thing for every step that I've taken. You never know who's going to help you get to where you go. And like, it could be a short interaction with somebody. It could be someone you've known for a lifetime, but just maybe they hear about an opportunity or something and they remember you, or they think of you. So making that a good impression, and with them, and just having everybody, in your life kind of looking out for you. And so with the Vipers, I was fortunate, like I said, to know a couple people who had worked there, who were working there, and they got me sort of an opportunity, with our GM, Travis Stockbridge, in the summer, that I was kind of pursuing the opportunity for the video intern position. And so through them, and then again, I got on a phone call with Travis. We talked for a little bit. He told me about the opportunity and the position, and then went to the second interview. And then again, like I said, just people vouching for me, and people that knew Travis, who had worked with him, who had gained a good repertoire with Travis. So he kind of gave me that opportunity. But like I said, it was not something that I did. Like I do feel a lot of times I've gotten, I don't know if lucky is a good word to put it, but fortunate for sure to have people who have looked out for me and given me opportunities along the way. And that's kind of how I ended up with, the Vipers. And then I do think being from here, they're a team an hour away. It was a really good fit for me. And like I said, it was a great opportunity for sure.
I don't think it was like luck. It's like, I think that you put yourself, like you said, like you put yourself in situations or positions, or get to know people, and getting that first impression, and being professional. Like when you arrive to the team, we will get to that later, but when you arrive to the team, to Angeles here in CIBACOPA, it was like you could tell like the professionalism and the knowledge that you have. So that's my next question. Like, because you applied to the video coordinator position now, does studying sports management give you or prepare you like for those positions, or that has to be like mostly spending time with your dad or on or high school basketball?
Yeah, so I think, so to answer the first part of it, sports management is definitely, the business side of sports, and, handling, like, it could be anywhere from becoming an agent to hosting press conferences to putting on events to being an assistant something in an office for a sports profession, or, so different stuff like that, different opportunities we had. Like when I was in that program, like I said, we took a class, a couple classes where we had to learn, what press conferences are, how to handle a business. So always already getting those chances as an undergraduate student, where you had to sort of be professional when you did those sort of things, has definitely helped. And then, like you said, in the second part of your question, like my family played a huge part in that. Growing up, it was always being respectful to others, showing respect to your elders, a professionalism about what you did, understanding that it's a job, it's a career. People, whether you think so or not, everything you do, whether everything you say, however you act, like people are watching. Right. So act a certain way, act right, do things the right way. How would you want others, to talk about you and to see you as a person? So I think with both those things, and like I said, just life experiences growing up with my family, I think my parents did a great job of raising me and my sisters, and then even, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everyone in my family sort of has that, respect towards one another and acts that certain way. And so I think that played a huge part in it as well, of just understanding, you have to be a pro. You have to come in every day and do your job, right? No matter what's going on, in your personal life, you have a job to do. So when you come in, you have to forget whatever it was, as hard as it may be, and you have to understand the task in front of you at the time. And so that's kind of the mentality I try to take in every day when I show up to work, that it's basketball. The team comes first, not even myself, but the players and the team and the organization will always come first.
Yeah, you could tell. I could tell in Angeles that every time it was like basketball first, the team first, and then we can talk about everything else. Now, what's the biggest thing that being with the Vipers has given you, like on a personal and professional wise, I guess? Like, what's the biggest take? Like, what have you learned so far from all the mentors you can have there?
Yeah, I think so. I think one is just opportunity, right? Like if you don't have an opportunity to even get in those rooms or be in a practice, then you never know what's going to happen. So I think first and foremost, it was, like I said, it was an opportunity to work on a professional level, with great people. And then networking, right? Networking, like I said, has been huge. And then people that have just been around, the game for a really long time, being able to just kind of be a fly on the wall, and sometimes, and just kind of see and observe and listen to what people have to say. My first year there, like our coaching staff, we had our head coach, obviously Kevin Burleson, who was a pro. He was a player development in the NBA before his head coaching opportunity with the Vipers. We had another couple guys, interns with us, that had long careers playing pro basketball. We had two of them, Myrie Chapman and Teray Murray. We had an intern who was just there, Alex Zillette, who was with them when they won the championship the year before. We had Kevin Buddy, who was, again, he had gotten an opportunity. He was working with San Diego State, and he worked with the Lakers. And, so just seeing those guys. And then we had Jay Stedman, who's been coaching a really long time at the professional and university level. And then, Evan Harville as well. Again, who was on the G League team that won the finals with the Vipers with Mahmoud. And, so kind of like my first year there, just being in a room with all those guys, you're like,
Crazy.
What am I doing here? Yeah, like why am I here? And so just taking that opportunity, and like I said, just being a fly on the wall in those conversations, whether it's a coach's meeting or, seeing how they handle their day-to-day stuff, or their preparedness, or how they talk in film, or how they approach certain situations and certain guys, taking bits and pieces of everything you can to kind of be like, okay, I like this. Maybe they'll do this a little different, but I do like this, and blah, just taking, like I said, taking bits and pieces of sort of a little bit from everybody, and just seeing how you can learn. And even then, like the players, the strength staff, the trainers, the same thing, just observing everything, taking it all in. I think you can learn from everybody, how everyone handles a situation, because you never know, even if they're not in your department or they're not a coach, like you could be put in a similar situation with a player, right? Like you can, or maybe someone else on staff or stuff like that. And then again, coming back, being there, being fortunate enough to be there a second year where there was a lot of turnover, right? Even then though, we got a new assistant coach, Robbie Keck. So that was good too, to see how does he handle certain situations, right? But so just like I said, everyone I've been a part of, especially in the Vipers organization, trying to get bits and pieces, because a lot of guys have been around for a while, multiple years, and so they've seen lots of different situations, a lot more than I have for sure. And so how do they handle certain things, or what do they seem is important to them at the time? And like I said, just their day-to-day work ethic is kind of something that I took from the Vipers, how to be consistent. Our coach, I remember Kevin Burleson, one of our first meetings we ever had as a staff, he was like, whoever you are as a person, wherever you are, I need you to be you every day. He said, if you're a fiery guy, I need you to come with fire every day. If you're a calm guy who knows his stuff or whatever, come as you are every single day. I don't need anybody different. I need you to be you. And that's kind of something that's really stuck with me, right? Because it was the first time, like, you see a lot of times, like, coaches like, I need a guy who's this and this and this. And he was one of the first ones that have been like, whoever you are, be you every day, because I need you to be authentic. I need you to be 100% yourself. And I need you, when you walk through those doors, to be able to portray to the guys that this is me. This is who I am. And so that was something that was really, like, cool to me, to be able to hear that and kind of understand that moving forward.
I think that's a really dope advice. And the first thing you said, that be the fly on the wall. I loved it, because that plus being authentic, like you said, you get the chance of being on the room and being yourself to the people, and get every information. At the end, you always upgrade yourself, I guess, on conversation, on knowledge, on how certain situations are covered by coaches, by GMs, or any people that you're around. So I would just take a minute to say in Spanish, because I loved it. Like you put it, like el ser la mosca en la pared, estar escuchando, de entrada lograr entrar a esas conversaciones, a esos cuartos, o a esos foros donde están pasando cosas de deportes, y estar escuchando, escuchar, y tener también el mantenerte, el ser auténtico, el tú todos los días ser tú, o sea, pues ser tú, básicamente, porque es algo que también los entrenadores y los jugadores lo notan. Los jugadores pueden ver cuando no eres esa persona, cuando estás tratando de ser otra persona, o el no estás siendo auténtico, y creo que se traduce en cómo el medio te percibe también, o el cómo te responde el medio también. Ahora, antes de entrar a preguntas técnicas, ahorita se me ocurrió la pregunta. Starting from you being on the Vipers, like, when you received the call or the opportunity for Angeles, because for certain people, unfortunately, that's how it is. Like, being on G League and getting an opportunity or a call, like, overseas, for some people, it could be like a downgrade, or probably like, okay, people will start saying like, oh, you just get that experience, or take it for granted. Let's put it like that. Like, for you receiving the call or the opportunity, like, what it meant, and how you processed, like, oh damn, like, going in Mexico, CIBACOPA. Did you knew the league? Do you knew something about it?
So really, I mean, honestly, I didn't have time to process. I got a call, and I was here the next day.
Yeah, it was like, and can you come tomorrow?
Yeah. So I don't know if there was much process, but for me, it was professional basketball, So
Okay.
it wasn't much of a what league's it in, and to be honest, no, I hadn't really heard about the CIBACOPA. Just to be 100% honest, I wasn't sure, what the league was, but did a little research. The internet has a lot of answers. Instagram has a lot of answers. So I was able to, see it a little bit, before I said the final yes, which happened about an hour after I got the initial call. But no, to me, like, I didn't see it as a, like, oh, now I got to go to Mexico, or, now I got to go here. Like you said, a lot of people in positions have gone from G League, NBA, whatever spots, and moved up through overseas basketball. And I think that's a great opportunity. And then like you said too, I had a couple mentors that I was able to call shortly after and kind of get their word of advice, and they all said the same thing, like take it, take
Really?
any opportunity you get. You have, say yes, take it, and they're like, you're gonna love it. They're all, everyone says once you go overseas and you're over there in Europe or Mexico or Australia, wherever, Asia, wherever you're at, you're gonna come back as a better person, because you're gonna see things from the basketball court to the ways of life to the customs to the people you meet, and you're gonna be so much more, experienced and versatile, aside from just the basketball, but basketball wise too. Like you can never get too many, games under your belt as a coach, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of coaching. You're always gonna, if something works, you're gonna be like, that's great, let me do it again. And if something doesn't work, you're gonna try to fix it and do it better next time. And I think that goes from someone in my position to someone who's been coaching, 50 plus years. I think, great coaches are always, adapting and adjusting. And, so it's always an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's kind of, what I saw it as.
And honestly, I was super impressed on how you guys get along as the coaches for Angeles. Like everybody had to take the decision
Yeah.
like, okay, you have 1 hour to tell us yes or no,
Mm-hmm.
and if you say yes, you need to be right here like next in 24 hours. Like it was crazy.
Yeah.
Like from my position, it was also like, damn. I mean, I do understand if they say no, because it's like you need to be in 24 hours in Mexico City. So it was also like
Mm-hmm.
a mission impossible. But you guys saying yes, taking the opportunity, it all for me it was also like I learned as well, because it's like there's some opportunities that you need to have. Like screw it, I can be there like on the next plane. Let's leave
Yeah.
let's get the experience. Let's get to know people. I'm pretty sure that you also got to learn from the other coaches that were on the team. So that was like really dope. And now getting a bit technical, as you know, our role as a sports minors was the analytical side. So we had to see the game like not beyond like the court, but let's say like it is like we for us is analytics first, basketball second. Um, there's a huge gap and things happening on between them and on court. So I will start with some technical questions that I had to set an example. Like for us, our main things are the 4 factors: rebounds, free throws, effective field goals, turnovers, and stuff. And there's something that when I got your resume at first with Angeles, and I saw that you were with the Vipers, I was like, I don't need to think anything else. He needs to come. This guy knows stuff, because the Vipers are the top team on offensive rebounding. Like they are like super good on offensive rebounding, and offense rebound on modern basketball is like a top thing. It's like one of crucial things that, on my perspective, it takes you to win games. So with this being said, like how do you think, or how do you create a culture of going for offensive rebounds? Because if you've been in basketball, nobody wants to go for them. That it's like, I think offensive rebounds is like, oh, screw it, I just shoot and go back to defense.
Mm-hmm.
And also that there's that question like, okay, should I go for offensive rebounds, or should I leave, or should I take the fast break point if I miss the shot? So let me just ask it in Spanish just before you can answer the question. Just like, en el básquetbol moderno es súper importante el tema de los rebotes, los 4 factores que hemos hablado, y algo que nos llamó la atención es que los Vipers, el equipo de RGV Vipers, es uno de los top en ir por rebotes ofensivos. El rebote ofensivo es algo que no muchos jugadores están acostumbrados, o no les gusta ir por rebotes, o empieza la disputa de voy por el rebote o sacrifico el contragolpe si fallo el tiro. Entonces, ¿cómo uno creo la cultura de ir por rebotes ofensivos? Y también, pues, cómo evito recibir puntos en contragolpe siendo agresivo en los rebotes.
Yeah, so talking about like the culture of it, right? I think there's multiple ways that you can get guys. I mean, some guys just go, right? So that's the easy one. When you have guys who are aggressive and have been, taught their whole life, to crash the offensive glass, or bigger, wings or centers, those are kind of usually, the easier ones to just, hey, go crash, and they're going to go do it. But, creating a culture of it, a lot of it has to do with, like I said, each player is going to be different. First of all, you're going to have to convince different guys in different ways to go do it. One of the ways you can do it is like and practice having a precedent where you're playing games to, let's say you're playing a 5-minute scrimmage, but playing 2s and 3s, offensive rebounds are worth an extra 2 points or something like that. So guys want to win, and if you're not going to score, well, if I miss a shot but I go get the offensive rebound, my team gets 2 more points, right? So playing little games like that, I think is a good way to kind of help with that. And then even film, like showing guys the opportunities that they had to go crash. Most guys don't realize that they're not crashing and they're not getting back, right? So you're not helping us out either way. So showing guys individual film, individual clips of like, look, if you would have just taken 2 steps into the 3-point line, this ball might have, it was a long rebound. You didn't even give yourself a chance. You didn't give yourself an opportunity. And then even then, like some guys are just like it's just whatever to them. But there's also guys too, like who love scoring the basketball, right? Yeah. And one of the ways you can score the basketball is to get extra possessions. But one of the ways you can do it as an individual is if I crash, I get an offensive rebound, I put it back up. Now you get 2 stats. You get a rebound, you get an offensive rebound, and you get 2 points, right? So I mean, I think there's multiple ways to try to convince guys, but I do think from a culture perspective, it has to be something you talk about consistently. Maybe even if it's not daily, but you have to work on it. You have to reward guys for going to the offensive rebounds. You have to show them the numbers, right? Like how the best teams are crashing the offensive rebounds, how extra possessions, how extra chances are so valuable over the course of not just a game, but over the course of a season, stuff like that. Some guys are numbers wise, some guys are, like I said, just film guys, or telling them like, if you want an opportunity, because everyone's opportunities to get to the NBA, obviously, right? Or most people, right, to play the highest level or EuroLeague, or the highest level that they can possibly attain is kind of their goal. And one way to get there is if you're an elite rebounder, or if you're someone who goes and crashes consistently, you have a good chance, because that's a skill that requires no skill. It's a skill that requires a lot of effort. Like, are some guys better at it naturally? Sure. But there's a lot of guys too who are just like, if you just simply would go and get in the fight and show, and to a lot of coaches and front office, that shows toughness, that shows willingness, it shows unselfishness, all the intangibles that can help you. Because at this level, I mean, like at this level, the NBA level, everybody's talented. Everybody is a really good basketball player. You wouldn't be getting paid to play basketball if you weren't a good basketball player. So one of the ways to kind of separate yourself and move yourself up is to do the little things. And I think that comes with something with offensive rebounding. And then to answer like that second part of your question, like a lot of people are like, well, if you're going to crash everybody, then you're going to give up a lot of points in transition, right? That's kind of the alternative to it. But so there's a couple ways to kind of attack that, right? So the goal is, like, if you're crashing 3 to 4 people, you'd hope to get more offensive rebounds than the other team gets to just rebound, throw it down the court, leak out layup, right? You would hope to get more of that, because you should, if they're leaking out, that means you should have more people in there rebounding anyway. So that's that's sort of one idea, one principle. And then even then, if you're going and making it a physical game and stuff like that, they realize they have to box out more and crash more, and they have to send more people to get the defensive rebound. But even like teams like this is called like Houston, University of Houston, for example, is probably one of the best teams rebounding wise in the country year in and year out. And they do a hell of a job on the defensive end, right? They play some grinded out tough games, and the way they play, and offensive rebound wise, they're crashing 5, they're crashing everybody. And so for a team like that, right? So like there are examples of how, you can crash and you're able to defend transition wise, because to me too, like transition defense is tough if you're crashing or not crashing, right? So one of the hardest ways to play defense is in transition. Half court is obviously much easier because you're able to, set up, and you have your schemes and principles and stuff like that. So it's just, and like you said, in modern NBA, it's about creating more chances, more possessions. The more we have the ball, the more time of possession, and chances and field goal attempts we have, the more opportunities we have to score, which is essentially the name of the game is outscoring the team, right? You're not
Yeah.
going to win a game by not outscoring the other team.
Yeah.
So just like understanding all those. And like I said, there's multiple ways to kind of, get guys, but that's where it kind of comes back to, okay, how do I motivate this one guy to go do it? Like, how do I motivate the team as a whole? But if, there's certain players you think are kind of not doing it, or, or just like, man, if this guy just went, he doesn't understand. So it's kind of being like, hey man, like, you don't understand. You can get 4 more rebounds if you just went, or you could get 6 more points if you just went. Like, you want to average 20, you're at 14, go get 3 offensive rebounds, put the ball back in the hole. Or like, even if you don't get it, like, you get an offensive rebound, you kick it off your teammate for a 3, like, that's an assist too. So like, it's not just going, and all that is literally just crashing. And then for us too, we don't like, it's not like even sending all 5 guys into the paint or like the charge circle. Like, that's not offensive rebounding for us. For us, like, our crashing would be is an area that we have, and just like telling guys, like, if you just get into this area, your chances of getting offensive rebound, goes up. So just get into that area. And so that's kind of, where our scheme was. And like I said, but you have to talk about it daily. You have to show guys numbers, videos. You have to, reward guys in practice for it and stuff like that. And then, even us with Onkelos this year, we tried rewarding guys too as the season went on, right? By like the highest offensive rebounder and stuff like that. So I think there's definitely, like I said, multiple ways, just kind of figuring out your team and, what works out for you. But I love, crashing. Think if you can crash 3 to 4 guys every possession, I think it gives you a great opportunity to get the ball again in the case of a miss.
Yeah. And like you said, I think that the main part or the tricky part is like not get cut in between, like not crashing and not going back to defense, because I think that a lot of teams get stuck in like, oh, but if I crash, I give out fast break points. And if you show video, it's like, no, you're not crashing at all, and you're not getting back at all. Mm-hmm. Like, you need to figure out like, what do you want to do? But at the end, it's like,
somewhere.
Do something. Like, the main idea is crash, but if you're not going, like, get back, not get stuck in between. Now, let's move a bit on the offense, like you said, because at the end you need to score, and that's the only way to win games. Is like, what would you say are the principles to play transition offense, like talking about spacing, shot selection, creating certain advantages on the court?
Mm-hmm. So I think first and foremost, like we had a thing called kick aheads. We would track how many times we were, just passing the ball to a guy that's running out in front of you, right? Even if it's 6 feet ahead, if I'm on like the 3-point line and you're barely at half court, even just giving you that pass, right? It doesn't have to be from one side of the court to the other, like it's a long outlet pass, but just kicking the ball ahead. Ball moves faster than a person can run, and the more you're able to kick the ball ahead and kind of push that pace, it forces everyone else to run with you. So that was one thing we always talked about and tracked, and we had some of our best offensive games were just in cases where we had more kick aheads, right? So that was one idea that we had. And then 2, a lot of guys are just have their wings run, but they're not running to a certain area. So for us, it was get to the deep corner, flatten out the defense as much as possible, because if they have to sprint back, right, and find the deep corner, it allows more driving angles for the point guard or whatever guard that's bringing it up. It provides better spacing for us, because now you're deep, you're almost on the baseline, so the defense is forced to have longer closeouts, or now you have to pick somebody. You can't guard 2 people at once. Am I in the corner? Am I stopping ball? Am I somewhere in the middle? So that's another thing. And then again too, if we're running the deep corner, we know where our outlets are. So if I'm a point guard, if I'm a guard bringing the ball up the floor, coming off a screen, and I get stuck, I see 2 people, I know in my mind my guys are in the corner, so that, like, spacing wise, that was really important for us, getting those guys running in the deep corner, pushing the pace. So like, kick aheads, get into the deep corner. Those were definitely 2 I'd say are the most important things for us. Transition offense, and then obviously like the ball handler guard picking the side, trying to attack from, we call it like the 45 area, so like almost like in between like the wing kind of slot area, attacking from there towards the middle, because then you have the guy behind you in the corner, you have the guy in front of you in the corner, and then you have your rebounder or 5-man or whoever, like you have them trailing into the opposite wing slot area, top of the key. So just you understand where everyone is, you understand the spacing, And then the more spaced you are, obviously, it's harder for the defense to close out and recover, to be in their gaps if they're a heavy gap team, to play one-on-one defense because now you feel like you have no help. So it's just spacing deep corners, understanding where everybody is at, and then, like I said, kick ahead were two really important things for us.
Now, this would be like two questions. Like, what do you think are the most efficient ways of scoring points per possession? And what happens, like, in modern basketball is like, right now everything is around shooting, probably like shooting threes. Like, now, what happens if you have people that can't shoot on your offense? Like, how do you use them to optimize their game? Not their game or your team game.
So I think like personally for me, I feel like trying to score faster. So first 7 seconds of the shot clock is kind of our window, right? It's transition offense. We talked about how hard transition defense is, which means transition offense, you should be able to execute and score. So first 7 seconds, trying to score in the first 7 where the defense is not set, because scoring against a set defense is hard. Guys are really athletic. They're really good. You practice in the half court a lot. So you understand, kind of your shell or whatever it is, your defensive scheme. So trying to take advantage of times when they aren't set up is kind of, what you tend to look for. And then I'm not sure your analytics, you've probably seen some numbers on it. So I'm not sure if that backs it up or not. I could be way off, but that's kind of my idea and principle. And then again, in the half court too, we talk about like most effective for me. And I'm glad you asked the second question, because for me, I do feel like it's either, layups or threes. I'm kind of in that area. I don't think the mid range is dead. I'm not saying it's dead, but I know a lot of people are trying to kill the mid range, but I do think that, layups and threes are two things you work on a lot. And so I do think that those are a little, like, if you're at the rim, obviously you're closer. So it should be slightly easier to score. Obviously there's great defenders, and I'm aware of that. And then catch and shoot threes is something a lot of people work on as well. So if you're able to get into those, two situations, two opportunities, I see those as two sort of very effective shots. Which kind of, brings us into the next question. What do you do with a guy who, isn't a great shooter, or he's not, or he might be a shorter of a closeout or something like that? So usually what I've seen, and this is something that we've just done recently, and, trying to still like, not an experiment, but try to see, how successful it is. So using him as a, active cutter, or as an off-ball screener, as a free screener.
Yeah.
So if his man is, heavily pulled in, he's more than likely not even aware of where he is if he's out on the three-point line. He's worried about the ball. He's all the way pulled over. He's in the gap. So on drives, his man would be, stunting more at the basketball, or more aware. Like he'd be the one to go. I'm gonna go. If my guy gets beat, I'll be the one to recover. Usually, even if he's out of position, just because naturally that guy can't shoot. So you're just going to leave him. You're going to have a tendency to leave him a little bit. So using that guy, when he sees his man selling out to the ball or not even paying attention, like, because if you can't shoot, you should be able, to somewhat, be finish around the rim. So using him as a cutter. So cutting early, getting him out the space, getting his man off the nail, whether he's at, the slot or the wing or the opposite corner, just cut. Because if your man's so pulled over, so worried about the ball on the flight of the pass, he thinks you're still on the three-point line. So if you're cutting towards the rim, you're already coming full speed, should be able to lay the ball in. So that's that's one principle, one idea that we kind of use. And even with the Angeles too, we played some teams that they'd play just their team defense, was heavy help. And so finding those guys where you're able to cut corners and knowing who you are, right? If I know I'm not a great shooter, but I still want to score. I still want to put the ball in the rim. If I cut, I could be a really successful cutter and get really easy points that way. And then on that backside, again, having good spacing, having those guys that where it was like 2 to a side or 3 to a side, having them just, find the area of space to make it a longer closeout on their men as well. And then again, so the other one, like I said, free screener. So if they're not guarding you, you should be able to go screen and get somebody open, right? Becoming an unselfish teammate, especially, for shooters, or even if someone who's just, a little bit better as a catch and shoot guy, as the ball's on the opposite side of the floor, or even if I'm close to the ball, right, go and setting a ball screen, right? Getting your teammate open, giving him an opportunity, because then you could set the ball screen and roll, or you can, slip out and roll, or you can get it. And now you're able to get downhill because they're playing one-on-one defense as opposed to you're catching it and they're just letting you shoot. or even like off ball, going to set, a pin down screen, or being that first guy in the zoom action, or, a stagger screen or stuff like that. Just becoming a free screener and understanding as you screen, now everyone's so worried about the other guy coming off because you just set a good screen, that now you're going to be open because you set the good screen, right? So understanding that their unselfishness at the end will reward them. So I think those two things, just active cutter and then free screener.
Yeah, and now that you mentioned the zoom action, before I get to my next question, do you remember how it went? The first zoom action we call with Angel?
I do.
How you feel about it?
So I do like the zoom action. I think it was hard because there were multiple actions before we got into the zoom. So if it would have been, just a little quicker into it, I think it would have been really good. But like I said, that first screener is so important in the zoom action, because if that guy's able to just get through, then it just becomes a regular DHO, so that is, but I don't know if you saw it too. So we went into it was like an uphill zoom action it ended up being for Vander late in the fourth quarter for a 3. So I think that one, so I'm a fan of, what's next, or, experimenting, like maybe this action will work, something that isn't being done consistently. And that uphill DHO, uphill sort of zoom action, I think is good, where, the ball starts baseline corner area, and you have a guy standing at the slot, and he's the one that's going to come off, going towards the baseline, because everyone always works on and talks about, the ball's at the top of the floor. You go DHO or zoom to the guy in the corner, and he kind of curls to the middle, right? But defenses aren't used to, if the ball's on that baseline area, like we threw it into Steph in the post. And I'm not sure who said, I'm not sure if it was Will or Nana or somebody said was that first screener, or maybe Raul. They were that first screener, and Steph sort of came off that uphill DHO, and the defenses just aren't used to that. So we got a good look from it. So that is something that I want to start experimenting with. And then we played a couple teams this year too who went to zoom action a lot, and even like triple zoom action where there's 2 screeners and then followed by a DHO. So I do think a lot of teams are going to it, just because, like I said, it's whoever's guarding the ball, especially you don't want to switch if it's a shooter or just your best athlete or best player coming off the one getting the ball, and you want to kind of keep that matchup. It's hard to guard because you have to get to 2 different, actions.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, I basically watched the game, like for that beginning, like for that starting for that starting play. I was like, oh man, I'm on it. And like you said, I also thought like, okay, probably we did one more action that we not that we should, because at the end, honestly, I love the outcome and how the game was rolling. I was just like, okay, probably we need, if we do it with one less action, probably we can get faster to the final result. So my next question would be like, what, this is all you, like for Isaiah en español. Like, what's your favorite concept of play, like triggers, like to create advantages on the half court? Like, what would like your favorite concepts would be?
So I obviously, like, this is a very cliche answer from offensive modern basketball, where it's like read and react, right? But what does that mean? Like, is it just pass and cut? Is it just ball screen continuity, stuff like that? But we're able to get guys, like in that last series, I thought we found a lot of success of keeping it really simple, where we just sort of started everything with a DHO and then playing off of the point guard and our 5-man. Vander, AJ, everybody who was running the 1 for us was kind of that initiator. And then Nana, who we'd have at our 5, he was kind of that second level to playing. What's he going to do? And then after that, we're back in our 4-out, 5-out sort of, next action basketball is kind of was our theme, right? What can you do next? Don't just stand and hold the ball, no ISOs. So just finding that DHO, whether if I DHO to the corner and, Nana's on that strong side or weak side, if he comes for the middle pick and roll, now we're playing off of that, where he's, diving and rolling, and then that single side guys, shaking up. And, or if we go, go DHO to the slot, if he's able to get downhill, is Nana going to set the step up, or after the slot DHO, go back into that baseline DHO, or slot DHO, swing it back over. Now we're in the step up, right? So just giving them multiple examples, multiple opportunities. And again, I think it was tough because we obviously didn't have that much time, to practice. We just had a lot of games really quick. So it was kind of just more videos and walkthrough. So I think the more time we would have had with that, concept style of offense, it would have been really good for us. But I do like having, that point guard or whoever's on the ball sort of being an initiator where if he hits here, or if he does this action, right, and he cuts or he screens away, then we're kind of, playing off of that. And so having, a point guard who's really smart, who's able to, read the court, I think is really important at all levels and for any offense, but especially a read and react one, right? You want someone who kind of understands the game and guys who understand the game. And then, like I said, I think Nana did a really good job of it too. Like, and I told him, like, if you could beat your guy down the court, run down the court. If you're behind the play, feel free to set that drag early. But if not, let us kind of get into that flow where multiple guys are touching the basketball and getting to, second side of the court, the third side of the court. Those are really important. But I think the biggest thing in the short amount of time we had and all that was just the idea of next action basketball. Like, if you don't have anything, get to a DHO, get to a pass and cut, get to a screen away, just move, do something. Just the more you move, I think movement is big, right? Moving with a purpose. Don't just jog through or walk through or kind of go set a bad screen, but moving with a purpose in whatever action or skill you want to do. And I told them the only way you're wrong in this offense and the way I think basketball is, like, the only way you're wrong is if you're just standing there. If you're just not getting anybody open, like, you're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. You're not helping your teammate if you're just standing and staring, right? Go get somebody open. Get yourself open. Like, if you cut, it might not be for you. You might not get open, but it's going to allow your teammate to fill over, or it's going to pull the nail help out the way and give a driving angle. But then when they do it for you, right, you're going to want them to get out the way, or you're going to want them to go set a screen for you, right? So this possession may not be for you, but understanding just like that read and react concept, moving with pace in the half court is kind of just the way I like to play. And then again, too, I think that's not easy way, but it's kind of a way to be like, okay, well, when we did this, the defense kind of struggled, or like when we did this, the defense was right there. So as a coach, and seeing, being able to just see guys play and you understand strengths and weaknesses, and I think it's a little bit like I said, easier, but it's not easier. That's not a good word for it, but it's a little bit better to see, where guys are good and where they struggle, and defenses, how they're going to guard certain things and stuff like that to try to, execute, whether it be an ATO or the next game or halftime adjustments or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And for you that you were implementing these offense and these concepts, like you said, it was super fast. You arrived and we had a game next day, like everything on a rush. But for you now that you think of the league, like, what's the main difference between Mexican basketball, or not Mexican basketball, like basketball being played in Mexico compared directly to the G League? Like, what would you say, like, these are the main factors, or these are the main things that make it differently?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple. I think one, like, not even style of play wise, just, league wise, because there's so, like, fewer teams in the CIBACOPA, you kind of get that, every game you kind of learn the other team, right? So you play, like, even with us, we only played, obviously, was just there for 6 games, and then it was playoffs. But even those 6 games, guys know each other because you've played the team 3 or 4 times already. And so by the time you get to the 6th game, it's everyone understands. So you get that little level of competitiveness where you've already played against a guy 3 or 4 times. Where in the G League, you might play a team twice, and then that's it. Like, I'm never gonna see you guys again, right? Especially if it's an Eastern Conference team, or because you play a majority of your games in conference. So like if we play like the Go-Go or like the Wolves or whatever, it may be just 1 game for the year, and then that's it. So there's just that feeling of you're gonna go out there and you're gonna play hard, but it's a little different when you played a guy already 3 or 4 times, or this is your 5th, 6th time playing him, right? So it's that level of like physical and like competitiveness, and you want to go at a guy because it's a little personal maybe because of something that happened in games before. So I think that was one of the biggest differences. And like I said, luckily for us that happened because I got to learn a lot about teams just by talking to players, like how do they play, what does this guy do, et cetera, et cetera. So you're able to have that dialect, whereas in the G League season, as you're moving throughout, sometimes it might just be like, well, this is what we do, So you're going to adjust, make your in-game adjustments. Of course, obviously you're going to have all your scouting and personnel and stuff like that. But a lot of times too, we're going to try to get really good at what we do, and, hope teams, make teams adjust to us. And then, style of play wise, I'd say I want to say that the G League is a little bit faster, like up tempo wise, like obviously, but I mean, I felt like in our games, the scores were just as high sometimes. So, I do think though, like in the CIBACOPA, there were definitely a lot more examples of teams coming down and, running their sets, trying to get through their stuff early, whether it be, into a Spain action or stagger away into a flip back to the point guard, and then they're playing out the middle pick and roll or floppy and stuff like that. So there were definitely a lot more sets that I noticed being ran on the offensive end, as opposed to like where the G League, I feel, is a lot of just, playing out the pick and roll or playing out of a step up. And then, like you said, it's more that read and react sort of style where it's really open concept. You want guys about that 4-point line spacing where they're almost a foot and a foot behind the 3-point, foot and a half, 2 feet behind the 3-point line sort of thing. And CIBACOPA too, just obviously because of where the 3-point line is, like the court felt so much tighter and smaller.
Yeah.
Just even watching the game, like on film, and then even from the court, like the court just feels so big in the G League where guys have so much space. And then obviously the 3-second stuff too is a huge difference between the two styles. So I think you kind of have to play more of that. All right, well, let's take advantage of this certain set, or we think we can, have an advantage against this certain guy defensively. But I'd say overall it's just like the physicality. Like CIBACOPA seems really physical and competitive, and that's not to say the G League isn't, because it is, and it's a dogfight a lot of times too, just like CIBACOPA. But I think just like all those few like rule changes and stuff like that kind of made it seem more that way. And then again, CIBACOPA was obviously a little bit, I don't even want to say slower, but just a lot more teams running their sets more consistently down the court, when the G League, you're just trying to play fast. A lot of teams have kind of adopted that, open 5 out, kind of first 7 mentality, where you're just putting a lot of more middle pick and rolls, side pick and rolls and stuff like that, where it's just it felt a little more up and down.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree that slower is not probably not the word. It's just like you said, that you get to see offense, all the sets being run more during the game, so it translates probably in a slower pace. But I also agree on the physicality too, like and also the part that it's like the 4th time you've played against that guy, you already know him, and you already got beef, or you get something. I don't know. There's a lot of things going on, but yeah, it was a super fun run. And like my final question would be before we drop, what's next for you, man? I could tell, like when you arrived, like this man is destined like for great stuff, for big stuff. I know that you're going to Vegas. I don't know if I can spoil that or talk about that, but what comes next for you? What's your next goal?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you. But yeah, so I immediately next, I am getting, the opportunity to work the USA national team camp, which is going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to be out there for that opportunity, be around those guys. And then, I'll kind of be there through that first weekend of the NBA summer league that they have going on. So that's kind of, the immediate next. And then as far as, next season or goals, that's still kind of up in the air. I think there's, like I said, as this summer kind of unfolds, NBA's draft is tonight.
Yeah.
So a lot of, still a lot of movement in that world, but just kind of, again, trying to navigate and just try to find, a home for the next season or next couple seasons. Definitely my goal is to get back on a sideline somewhere, whether it be in the G League or in the, on a staff in the NBA doing, whatever it may be, or even, going overseas or back to Mexico or Europe or Asia, where I'm able to, get that coaching experience. And like I said, just be on the sideline. Those are kind of my short-term, long-term goals right now. Right. I wish I could be a little more specific, but I'm not too, sure. I'm not too sure right now. So just, those are kind of the immediate things that, I'm kind of looking forward to, hopefully in the next couple months of giving you an answer, an update.
Yeah, I'll be looking forward for it, man. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be here to answering these questions, like sharing what have your path and how you got where you are and the experience of being with Angeles. I really appreciate you taking the shot and the challenge of like basically arriving just to play playoffs for a new team, new country, everything. I really appreciate that. I really admire you. And once, just one fun question: will Bronny James would be drafted?
I think he'll be drafted. Yeah, I do.
Oh, really?
I think he'll be drafted. I think he'll be drafted. Yeah, where? I have no idea. What team?
But somebody's going to take the risk.
I think somebody's. He's a good player, and I know like from his character and stuff, he's a great kid. So I think he'll be drafted for sure. I think he'll hear his name either today or tomorrow. Whenever
first rounder or anytime.
I think anytime. I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say first round, but I'm pretty sure he'll hear his name called.
I'm not sure how to feel about it, man. I know he has the pedigree. I know he can play. So I mean, yeah. I'm pretty sure that he can have an impact with the team. So let's see how it goes, man. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited for the draft too, and really excited to meet you I'll be in Vegas in the summer. So hope to see you, man. Cool. Once again, thank you for the time. Really appreciate it, man, and looking forward to keep in touch, man.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. No, thank you again for this interview. I had a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and have a wonderful week, and let's see how it goes the draft, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Have a good one.
You too. Bye. You too.
Boom 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 boom.